Hello and welcome to Wait, for real?
A true crime and paranormal podcast. I'm Grace,
And I'm Katie.
and I'm wounded.
She is. She's down bad.
If you're looking on YouTube right now, or if you're not on YouTube, I guess I should say, I one of my acrylic nails was ripped off my finger today by a
A
box.
truly horrible pain. Uh,
Yeah, half of my nail is missing, and I haven't felt pain like this in a long time.
yes. Yeah.
Uh, it's excruciating,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm just gonna cover it and not look at it until it heals in 4 to 6 weeks.
I think that's probably best course of action. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also am currently like using one hand. So this hand's here. The other hand is down. Like I'm reaching down to let my cat get pets because he's being a dickhead.
Yes, he is quite needy today.
He is. Pancake is a needy boy. Where's Archiekins?
Yes, thank God he can't hear you. I don't know. I think he's in my bedroom and hopefully he stays there because if he watched last week or listened last week, either or, you know that he just really wreaked havoc on the episode.
But then we learned that he could get down from the counter himself.
Yeah, we did. That bitch. He trained me. I was gonna say I trained him too well. He trained me too
He
well.
really did. Just like how Pancake's training me with his treats.
Yes, that's exactly what
Ow.
happened. I would give him a treat if he came down that way.
No biting.
See?
He's choosing violence.
Violence all around, people. Violence all around.
Yeah. But all right. Well, did you have anything you wanted to bring up before we got started?
Nope. Not a
I was
thing.
gonna say there's too many things going on in the world right now for us to give opinions on any of it because it's traumatic
Yes. So
across the
we
board.
shall carry on.
Yeah. So in the process of trying to figure out this episode for this week, I was like, I don't want to do an unsolved mystery. I want to take a break from that, but I also don't want to do paranormal. And then I was like, I follow a couple different like newsletters or like blogs that still post like true crimey stuff, creepy stuff, and something came up about this topic, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So I started reading into it, and there's not too much detail about the crime that I'm going to talk about,
Hmm.
but it sort of spurred my interest in capital punishment in Japan. So
Okay.
that's sort of where we're going to go on a journey together, and that's how we're going to get to where we were.
Okay. We're going the historical true crime route.
Yes,
We
yeah,
love to
and
see it.
there's an answer to these crimes, so that
Okay.
helps.
That's amazing.
Um, so first I'm going to talk about the case that sparked my interest.
Hmm.
And that is okay, let me pause here for a second and give a warning that I looked up how to say all these words, all these names, but I will probably butcher them and I apologize to anyone I butcher your name. Well, besides the bad guys, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So this is going to be talking about Takahiro Shirashi. We're gonna go with
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Takahiro. So he is a Japanese serial killer and rapist, and he was also known online as the Twitter Killer.
Mm,
I don't know if you ever heard of this.
I
I
have
had
not.
not. And he got that name mostly during his sentencing because that's sort of like the attention grabbing statement that they gave. And the reason why he was a terrible person and also was known as is because one, he was executed. They have the death penalty in Japan, and he was convicted for murdering 9 people, 8 of them being young women, including 3 high school girls.
Good God.
Yes. So Takahiro was born in Tokyo on October 9th of 1990. So he's not that much older than us.
Mm-mm.
He was a scout who lured women into brothels to work in the sex industry in Tokyo's biggest red light district.
When? When
Um,
was this?
this was when he like this red light district is still there.
No, I mean, like, when was he
This was like
active?
his job up until he was caught.
Okay.
Um, People like locals in the area knew him, and everyone was warning people about him, saying that he was a creepy scout and that women would go with him and never be seen again. Um, and then in 2017, he was living in an area called Zama. So we don't have too much information about him and his life, mostly because I don't have any way to translate some of the articles that I was trying to read or try to get,
Yeah.
and I was doing Google Translate and it's
The
not where it
same.
needs to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the social media platform that was Twitter at the time, it's now called X, Takahiro would invite suicidal people to his home where he would offer to either help them die or want to watch them kill themselves.
Ew.
Yeah. So a friend indicated that he had played choking games with school friends when he was a kid, and he really had signs of, this anger and fascination with strangulation,
Okay.
which did come into play in some of his later victims. They had been strangled.
Okay.
So October 24th of, oh shoot, what year was it? I think 2017. Yeah, 2017. Okay. In October of 2017, one of the missing women's brothers had started an investigation with police to find his sister. Essentially, his sister had gone missing, and he went to the police and said, "We need to find her." Her name was only known as Yumi, and that Yumi assisted. Oh, sorry, excuse me. So Yumi was not his sister. Yumi was the investigator that worked with the police and
Hmm.
the brother to try to find his sister. Essentially, what
Okay.
Yumi did was reach out to Takahari and set up a fake appointment.
Hmm.
Um, and the police were obviously involved with all of this entire process. It was a sort of a way to catch him.
Right.
So the thing that's weird is that when the police showed up, he just like very much immediately told the truth. Like they literally like arrived at his apartment and Yumi started talking to him, and then he was just like, "Oh yeah, like I have the dead body in my freezer." Yeah. So when police went in, like I said, he just like willingly gave up this information. When the police went in, they found 9 dismembered bodies in the house,
Good God.
in 3 cooler boxes and 5 large storage boxes. They had found heads, legs, and arms. Again, this is going to get more gross.
Hmm.
Neighbors corroborated the events by confirming that foul smells of rotting flesh had come from the house. Takahira had discarded elements of people into his trash bin, which had been taken away by the garbage. And he
Hmm.
also did that to the recycling. I don't know why that's important to know, but also recycling.
Okay.
And like I said, the 9 victims were 8 women and 1 man, all of whom were between the ages of 15 and 26.
Jeez.
So, police investigation confirmed that the missing woman had been walking with him on October 23rd. And he confessed to killing and dismembering the 9 people. Most of the victims were suicidal women whom he had lured on social media. In some cases, like I said, he offered to help them die, and in others, proposing to commit suicide together with them. So that's how he would bait them.
Mm. Okay.
And then before he committed the murders, he was reported to have talked to his father and said that his life had no meaning, and that when he was later testifying slash like giving his deposition, he said, his motive was sex and financial gain.
Hmm.
And the reason behind that is trigger warning. He raped and robbed the women.
Hmm.
And the male victim was only killed because he was one of the boyfriends of one of the females he killed, who was getting close to figuring out it was him.
Okay.
So the names of the women, so there's no information that's public about them. Like I haven't been able to find anything. The names of the women are listed, but I am not going to even try to do the injustice of pronouncing them.
Hmm.
But in terms of trial and execution, so his lawyers had intended to base their defense on the fact that he had obtained the consent of most of his victims to kill them.
Oof.
Wild, am I right?
Yeah.
Um, and however, contrary to the plans of his defense team, he actually pled guilty to all 9 murders.
He was like, just kidding. I'm gonna plead guilty.
Yeah, didn't tell his defense team that was happening. So that was on October 1st of 2020. And then on December 15th of 2020, he was sentenced to death.
Mm-hmm.
And he indicated that he would not appeal his sentence. And his death sentence was finalized in January of 2021. And he was executed by hanging on June 27th of 2025. So this just happened.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yes. So when I read this, I was like, holy shit, that's just crazy. I want to know more about why they were executed by hanging.
Yeah.
So, are you familiar with the capital punishment in Japan?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. The way you said yeah, you're like, yeah. I was like,
Well,
shit.
no, because like, yeah, that makes sense on why you would want to know why they chose hanging as a method
Yes.
when it's not commonly used today.
Correct. And I had a statistic here somewhere that hopefully we'll find it. You know what? We'll come back to that. That's later me problem. Okay, so let's talk about Japan and capital punishment. Obviously, it is a legal penalty in Japan, and the Penal Code of Japan and several laws list 14 capital crimes.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, though, it is applied only for like a few, mostly aggravated murder. All executions are carried out by long drop hanging.
All of them.
All of them. And they take place at one of the 7 execution chambers located in the major cities across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only crime punishable by a mandatory death sentence is instigation of foreign aggression.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of these sentences or crimes that can be committed in the sentencing could be potentially the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is ringleading a riot for the purpose of overthrowing the government, usurping the territorial sovereignty of the state, or otherwise subverting constitutional order.
Mm-hmm.
So an insurrection. Another one is attempting to ringlead an insurrection in equal circumstances.
Okay.
The foreign aggression one I just talked about. Aiding or assisting an enemy at war with Japan. This one is setting fire to and burning an inhabited building, train, tram, vessel, or mine, which is either a residential house or a place where a person is currently present in.
Okay.
Causing a flood to damage an inhabited train, blah, 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 same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Causing death by overturning or destroying an occupied train or tram, or capsizing, sinking, or destroying an occupied vessel.
Okay.
Causing death by polluting or poisoning a public water source. A lot of things that I never thought of, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, homicide.
Mm-hmm.
Causing death in the course of a robbery.
Okay.
Causing death in the course of a robbery in conjunction with a rape, or a rape in conjunction with a robbery.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, there was one that is more recent, is performing a murder or homicide under orders of a criminal organization.
Okay.
And then there was some legislation that was passed that also talked about these potential additions to this list of capital punishment. And that would be, one is using an explosive with the intent of disturbing the peace or causing bodily harm or property to another person, or causing another person to use an explosive in like manner.
Okay.
Murdering a hostage. Killing a person in the course of hijacking an aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Crashing, capsizing, sinking, or destroying an aircraft. Seizing a ship and controlling its operation resulting in death, or stealing property on board a ship resulting in death, or kidnapping or taking hostage aboard a ship resulting in death.
Okay.
A lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of options. So I wanted to sort of understand where the guideline came for how this process is done.
Mm-hmm.
So in Japan, the courts follow guidelines laid down in a trial of Norio Nagiyama, who was a 19-year-old from a severely disadvantaged background who had committed 4 separate robbery murders in 1968 and was finally hanged in 1997.
Wow.
So the Tokyo High Court originally gave him a life term, but in 1983, the Supreme Court of Japan held it was said like it was an error and quashed the sentence before sending them back onto death row.
Okay.
So the court ruled that a penalty shall be decided in consideration of the degree of the criminal liability and balance of justice based on a 9-point set of criteria, sort of similar to what we've talked about with ours. And that's things, like we're talking about degree of viciousness, motive, how it was committed, the outcome, sentiment of the bereaved family members,
Mm-hmm.
impact of the crime on Japanese society,
Okay.
the defendant's age. So in Japan, the age of majority is 18.
Mm-hmm.
That has been lowered. It used to be 20.
Okay.
Defendant's past criminal record and the degree of remorse shown.
Mm-hmm.
So also, the number of victims that the person had killed is a huge factor in a death sentence.
Right.
So let's talk about the judicial process.
Mm-hmm.
So since May 2009, district courts try capital cases by using I've never heard of this. It's called the lay judge system, where you have 3 professional judges sit with 6 randomly chosen citizens. Have you heard of this before?
No.
Okay. I felt like you would have known this of anything in this storyline, because it's very, I don't know. This might just be a Japanese thing. So again, there's 3 professional judges that sit with 6 randomly chosen citizens. 5 votes of the 9-member court, including at least 1 professional judge, are required for issuing a conviction and any punishment.
Okay.
So it's not unanimous.
Right.
And so there is an appeals court to retry, all these things, but so high courts retry cases with only 3 judges and no lay judges. And they can reduce a death sentence down to a life sentence.
Yeah.
Ultimately the 5-member party of the Supreme Court has the final say on all penalties.
Right.
So if they can go in and change any of the sentencing if they want to. So let's see. In only 3 cases has this happened since 1945, where they imposed a life sentence, said that the life sentence was too lenient and ordered a retrial for the death sentence.
Okay.
So one was the Norio Nagayama, which we just talked about. The other one is Takayuki Futka. And they were both under the age of 20 at the time. So let me talk about Takayuki. Takayuki was your head is in the way.
So sorry.
No worries. Literally, I don't have much information, but basically he was a perpetrator of the Hikari City mother and child murder incident in Hikari, Japan on April 14th, 1999. On that day, where he was 18 years old in 1 month, he raped and murdered 23-year-old Yao Matamura and then performed necrophilia on her body.
Jesus
then
Christ.
Killed her daughter, Yuka, that was 11 months old. Then he also stole the mother's purse. So again, he was charged with rape, murder, robbery, and was handed the death sentence after the appeal being put in place. So not a good guy. No. And then the other one, here we go. So now let's talk about the execution process and the stages of execution. So according to some article in their code of procedures, yada, 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 basically the death penalty must be executed within 6 months after the failure of the prisoner's final appeal.
Okay.
So not like you can appeal here in the US, but they have, I think, more strict rules on how many appeals you can have. And then also it's like it has to get done once your last appeal is done.
Yeah.
Which I don't know for sure. I think the US, you have a longer wait time.
It just takes a really long time.
Yeah.
The resources, the money that it costs to do it.
Yeah. So the typical stay on death row in Japan is between 5 and 7 years. And then it says approximately a quarter of those prisoners have been on death row for more than 10 years.
Damn.
Um, and they had a couple unique instances where people had been on death row for 30 plus years and had died on death row.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of those is going to be Sadamichi Hiroshawa.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a Japanese tempera painter, and he was convicted of mass poisoning and sentenced to death.
My God.
Yeah. And due to strong suspicions that he was innocent, no justice minister ever actually signed his death warrant, but he was on death row for so long that he died in prison.
Wow.
And let me give you a little background of how this happened, because it's wild to me. So on January 26th of 1948, a man calling himself an epidemiologist arrived at a branch of Imperial Bank in a suburb of Tokyo shortly before closing time. He explained that the public health officials sent the U.S. occupation authorities who had orders to inoculate the staff against a sudden outbreak of dysentery.
Oh
He gave
God.
each of the 16 people present a pill and a few drops of liquid. Those present drank the liquid he gave, which was later thought to be a nitrile hydrocyanide,
Mm-hmm.
an assassination toxin originally developed in the Noborito laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
When all were incapacitated, the robber took some money lying on the desks, which amounted to approximately 2,000 US dollars at the time, but left the majority behind, leaving his motive unknown. 10 of the victims died at the scene. One
Oh
was a
God.
child, and 2 others died while hospitalized. And this was him.
That's horrific.
It's insane. Again, it's like one of those things where it's like I never if I think I've talked about it before, but I've been to Japan, and when I was there, I was like, this is like the nicest people, the cleanest country, everything is great. Like I pictured it like in my head, like I'm watching The Good Place. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And now I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
I
I'm like,
know.
what is happening? Oh, another person that was not found or that was not executed on death row was Iwa Hakamata,
Mm-hmm.
and they spent 58 years on death row before being found not guilty. So let's talk about that a little bit. This
That's
one's wild.
crazy.
Yeah. So I think I'm pronouncing his first name wrong, and I apologize, but Iowa is a Japanese former professional boxer who was sentenced to death on September 11th of 1968 for a 1966 mass murder that became known as the Hakamata Incident. Hakamata's time on death row is the longest of any prisoner in the world.
Whoa.
In March of 2014, he was granted a retrial and an immediate release when the Shizuoka District Court found that there was reason to believe evidence against him had been falsified.
Mm.
In September of 2024, he was acquitted in the retrial, and his innocence was confirmed in October of 2024, which is nuts.
That
So
is crazy.
currently, today, he's 89 years old. He's free. And this is even more insane to me. So in 2025, a court awarded him a certain amount of yen
Mm-hmm.
and it equates to $83 US dollars a day for his imprisonment.
That doesn't feel like enough.
That is not enough.
No.
That is not enough whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about him. So let's talk about the actual death row process, imprisonment, yada, yada, yada. So Japanese death row inmates are imprisoned inside specific detention centers. So, excuse me. These are completely separate from prisons or prisoners. So death row, those on death row are not considered prisoners by Japanese justice system, and other facilities in which they are incarcerated are not referred to as prisons. So these inmates lack many of the rights afforded to other Japanese prisoners.
Okay.
This is pretty morbid, but basically the nature of the regime that they live under is largely up to the director of the detention center that they're at.
Okay.
It is significantly harsher than normal Japanese prisons. Inmates are held in solitary confinement and are forbidden to communicate with their fellows at any time. They are permitted 2 periods of exercise per week and are not allowed television and may only possess up to 3 books.
Wow.
Prison visits, both by family members and legal representation, is very infrequent and very closely monitored. And as of this month, 105 inmates currently sit on death row in
Wow, that's
Japan.
a lot. How
Yes.
many are in the US, do you think?
Ooh, I don't know. Are you looking up for me?
Yeah.
It's probably a lot, if I had to guess.
Yeah. There it is.
Do, do, do,
Yeah,
do.
as of January 2025, approximately 2,100 people face active death sentences in the United States.
Oof.
Another 175 individuals may face resentencing to death and new capital trials.
Damn. Okay.
That's
Little
crazy.
bit more than
Yep.
Japan.
Yep, 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 yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. And basically people say that like the the space where they're sleeping, like their like solitary confinement, is like the size of a bathroom stall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when someone is convicted of a capital crime and is to be executed in Japan, the execution warrant is signed by the Minister of Justice
Hmm.
after an internal consultation with the Justice Ministry. Such a badass like way of saying it, Justice Ministry. Anyways, I felt like I
Yes.
was like
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Um So again, in as of 2007, the BBC report of statements in Japanese media that men were condemned and kept in toilet-sized cells.
Hmm.
So once the final approval for execution is signed, it takes place within 5 business days.
Damn.
Um, so there's some statutes there that cannot take place on a Saturday or Sunday or holidays or between December 31st and January 2nd. Uh, so again, all executions are done by long form hanging
Hmm.
or long drop hanging. And this is the part that's pretty wild to me is that the condemned prisoner is only informed of their execution the morning of the execution.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the thing?
I mean, like, I'd rather you just tell me the morning of.
God
Don't tell me
damn.
like a week ahead and then you just sit there thinking about how you're gonna die in a week.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. So there's some reports that people are given a last meal, but others report that they get like the last eats. They don't really
Hmm.
know that that meal is going to be their last. So I don't understand that process. Haven't
Yeah.
found a good source for it, but they are not, like I said, they're not told until the morning of, and then the families are not aware of it. So before 2007, families were just never told when the person died.
Even after they were dead?
Yeah.
That's wild.
They just basically said like execution dates were occurring and that X many people had died or what had happened. Um, and then because of some so I guess that there was an issue where people were committing suicide prior to their execution and then the facility was required to tell the families. So then they
Hmm.
changed the policy and so now families are told 1 to 2 hours before execution.
Damn.
Obviously they are not allowed to be there. No one is allowed to be at the execution because like I said it's held in a um execution like chamber within this
Hmm.
building. And it's not very well spoken about, I would say, in terms of, announcing days of execution or letting the people know. The reason why the Takehiro's, the Twitter guy, his was so
Hmm.
public is because somebody had gotten word, like one of the U.S. news channels had gotten word that he had been killed or executed,
Gotcha.
and that's sort of how it came out. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to hear about these people being executed until many years later.
Hmm.
Um, which also is interesting because basically, once somebody is set to be executed, it's told obviously to the family of the victims, but then at that point, they say, like, you can start the grieving process because you can work under the assumption that they're dead,
Hmm.
which is weird to me. But
Yeah, that's wild.
yeah, yeah, I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anybody that I wanted to talk about, but that is basically where I did my little deep dive on capital punishment.
Does it explain why hanging of all the things?
Nope.
Hmm.
That's just it was a well, okay, let me backtrack for a second.
Okay.
Way back when. I'm talking like far back history, right? So
Yeah.
I'm talking, let me find I had like a note of it. Ah, do 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 do. This the method of hanging came about as like a historical context. So let me give you a background. So in 773, which I can't even comprehend the time period of that, the method of like death penalty or death sentence was beating, um, and it was
Wow.
mostly towards arsonists and thieves.
Hmm.
Uh, then and the execution of the death penalty was required by the approval of the emperor at the time. And then whenever you're getting later into like the Heian period, which is like 1794 to 1185, the death
Hmm.
penalty wasn't really touched for a long time. Like they didn't use it for like hundreds of years. They were
Damn.
just like, yeah, we're not doing that. Then during the Genpei War, which is 1180 to 1185, the death penalty was used and it was sawing and crucifixion, which is,
Sawing?
yeah, sawing the person. Yeah. In the Kamakura period, the method of capital punishment was beheading. And
Yeah.
then the heads were displayed to the public as an example of their execution. Following that, they had, uh, let's see, they had more varied and cruel punishments, so reflecting the climate of warfare. So executions included skewering, Jesus, burying them in the ground from the neck down and cutting off their heads with a bamboo saw,
Oh.
tying criminals' legs to two oxen and tearing the legs
Oh
apart. You
God.
walked into this.
I know.
Tying the criminal's legs to two wheels and tearing the legs apart, burning the criminal at the stake, boiling the criminal in a pot, wrapping the
Hmm.
criminal in a woven straw rug and throwing him underwater, and so on.
And so on.
It just says, and so on. And then in the Edo period, there was no new code on capital punishment. And so those methods used in like the older period um, continued on.
Hmm.
And they got more into beheading at the time.
Yeah, I think like globally that was quite popular.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So like also the punish like the level of severity of the crime determined the treatment of the body after the beheading.
Mm.
So, fun fact, if the crime was serious enough, the body was then exposed to the public for 3 days and people were allowed to use it for test cutting with knives or swords. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Um this is fucked up. So basically after World War 1,
Hmm.
there was a crazy sharp reverse in how these things are done. Basically, the government was like, "Hey, this is all pretty fucked up."
Yeah.
And they said that the like cleanest way to ensure that it's like a clean, quick murder or death, not murder,
Hmm.
death would be a long drop hanging. So they went with that.
Okay. Interesting.
Do you regret asking that question?
No, I mean, I was interested. I will say I did look up when the US stopped doing hangings.
Yeah.
It says that this started, so hanging execution ceased with the Supreme Court's 1972 ruling in Furman v. Georgia, which temporarily abolished capital punishment, while executions, including hangings, were halted between 1967 and 1977. The method of hanging was last used lawfully in the U.S. in 1996 when Billy Bailey was hanged in Delaware.
What?
Mhm.
Not that long ago?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god.
It says that Delaware retained hanging as a secondary option until 2019. They're like, if you want, you can opt.
And it's also interesting too, because I did read that. So Japan and the United States are the only two G7 countries to still use capital punishment,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. And in Japan, there's a very strong support for capital punishment.
Really?
Yeah. Um, it's a practice that surveys have shown that the Japanese people really are for capital punishment.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is crazy because that's not as easily stated here in the US.
No, I'm wondering like how long are people on death row in the US generally? Because I think this might have something to do with it.
Oh, I don't know.
Death
Oh, yeah, because how
row.
expensive it is to
Well, just like
in the appeal
it's not
process and
it's not uh, yeah, it says people on death row in the US spend on average 18 to 20 years awaiting execution. That's
yeesh.
quite a long time.
Yeah.
So, and it's much more of a public spectacle here.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Yeah, because I
Or
mean,
not here in the US.
yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not there.
I'm like, you're in Canada? What the
That's
fuck?
right.
Yeah, so my rabbit hole went from one murderer to an entire country's criminal justice system.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's a lot of stuff I never known. So I'm like, this is really interesting. I honestly had no idea that, like, I hate the idea that they aren't told that they're going to be executed until the day of.
Yeah, that seemed to really get you.
That's really giving me the ick. I'm like, what?
You know that question where it's like, if you could learn how you were going to die and when you were going to die, would you?
Yeah.
You would, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%.
Not me.
No?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, I want to know. I don't like, I like spoilers for TV shows. You think I
You like
wouldn't want to know?
spoilers for books too.
I like spoilers for everything.
She wants everything to be spoiled for her. Yeah, but you're
That's,
someone that would like, you would go out and then live the most of your life. I would do the opposite if I knew. I would like be like, oh God, I'd be consumed by it, and then I wouldn't get anything done.
I also like sort of, okay, this is probably stupid. But I'm putting it on the internet for everyone to hear. But I'm
Super.
also like petty in that like they'd be like, "You're gonna die in this day at this time." I'd purposely like die right beforehand or
Yeah.
something. Be like,
You're
"What a
like,
bet!"
yeah. She's going to take it into her own hands, which opens
Yeah.
up the interesting psychological question of do we have free will? And with that, we will close it out. Discuss in the comments below.
Don't discuss in the comments below. We're not talking about free will on this podcast.
No, that's why I
We're
give it
gonna
to the
end
people.
scene.
And scene.
Yeah, so if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. This has been quite the roller coaster of an episode, solely
It
just
has.
based on the ending there. If you liked what you heard or watched, please make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us, and some stars on Spotify. You can give us a thumbs up on YouTube. But if you're listening and not watching, or watching and not listening, just so you know, our tag on most things is at Wait for Real Pod. That's POD. You'll also see us on social media with that. And if you wanted to send us a story or you knew something about the Japanese criminal justice system and you wanted to tell us about it, you can do so by sending us an email, which is waitforrealpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to support us financially, because we two broke bitches, you can buy us a cup of coffee. There's a link in our show notes. It's at the bottom of our show notes, as well as a link to send us a text that we cannot reply to, but we will
cannot.
read.
It's true. We see it. We see them all. We appreciate them all. And
Yes.
we know who you are. And that's all I'll say.
We know. Yeah. Is there anything else that we should have for this week?
That's it.
All right. Well, we'll leave it as always.
Go to therapy.
And don't forget to leave the lights on.